Hi, the title of this video is How to Deal with a Wife Who is Always Angry. Now there's another one, How to Deal with a Husband Who is Always Angry, and the advice is very different. And the reason is it's different, and this may not apply to you, but it'd be rare. You know, I worked with many men, many women, and there's big differences in how women and men perceive the world and work through their things in the world. And so I want this to be more useful to you as a man. It's not generic dealing with someone's anger. If you're dealing with a man's anger, you know, maybe your boss or something, then you could take a look at that other video. But this is how to deal with a wife who is always angry. The component here, the most important part here, believe it or not, is you. Most of us do not realize why we get married. And the reasons are layered. So there is the highest component, which is the human component. And that is the component, as human beings, we are always striving for happiness. It's part of the human life. It's what we do. Even people who go off and live in the mountains as hermits or as spiritual seekers, what they're looking for is always happiness. Those who realize what brings the most happiness are truly on a spiritual path. That is love. So love is the universal succor. It's what we all need. And I don't want to use the word desperately. I want to say that it's a component of what we are, because we're essentially souls. We have a body and a mind. And the soul is love. And as a human being, we have to separate the genders here, because women have a more natural way of achieving love, because they have the experience of having babies. And so they're compelled to love as unconditionally as is possible. And so they understand this better. Men, on the other hand, are the defenders, right? We don't carry babies, but we defend the family. And so now we move over to this other part of us, which is the biological part of us. And in the mind are all of the biological compulsions, which always boil down to survival. Drive to survive, procreate, and like that. And so in a man, it's aggressive. Anger is usually a part of us that we need to learn to push out, because we really don't need it. Women, however, have this need for us as their protector, their defender. So you could say that psychophysiologically, women marry men to protect them. And this is important. Now, it's not conscious. Women don't go, well, I need to marry a protector. Some do, but it's rare. And it's deep in the subconscious mind. So they're not even truly aware of it. The reason a woman marries you is because she fell in love. But this need, psychophysiologically, doesn't go away. And the biggest problem that men have is understanding that this protection that they give their wife is an expression of love when it's an expression of love. Usually for men, it's merely an expression of duty, and one that is not welcome. Men tend to not caress their wives, give them the kind of loving protection that you would, for instance, your newborn child. And yet that is something that your wife needs. And so she's getting angry oftentimes because of fear. Fear leads to anger, and it's a frustration. She can't wrap her arms around it. She can't tell you why. I'm telling you why. It's because from her mind's point of view, you're not there for her. This is deep stuff. I'm literally revealing to you the essential ingredient that is missing in the vast majority of marriages. And that is for the husband to learn to love his wife unconditionally. This does not mean to get sappy. It doesn't mean to become, what do they call the males now, the metro male or whatever. No. It's an expression of love. It's still very masculine, but it doesn't involve outer displays of affection in public, but it does mean that you're opening your heart more and more. And so what happens is, as you do so, you start seeing your wife through different eyes, through eyes of understanding her needs. See, what I've been talking about, you have never thought about before. And this is the problem. If your heart was open, you wouldn't have had to think about it. You would recognize it, and you wouldn't have this question of how to deal with a wife who is always angry, because when you saw your wife as angry, you would already be addressing her in ways that are compassionate, understanding, loving, creating safety for her. Safety. You already know that they need safety. Now I'm explaining to you in depth what that really means. And so how you handle an angry wife, always angry, sometimes angry, doesn't matter, is by changing yourself. When people take their course for men because their marriage is really going through rough times and it's just going to get worse, this is the thing we talk about to men. You need to change yourself. You can't change another person. You can't even change yourself, hardly. But we have techniques. They're unique to us. I've developed them, and this is what you'll use to change yourself. You can't change your wife. You can't change your kids. You can't change your employees or your boss. You have the only opportunity to change anything in this world is yourself. We're not taught this. And because we're not taught this, there's very few who have gotten into explaining just how to do it. Most people say, well, you just can't do it. I've tried breaking my habits and I can't. Well, you can. You have free will, but you haven't had the tools. So we have the tools, and you are able to make these changes, and then watch what happens. Your wife won't be angry anymore. She will calm down. It takes time because she's also driven by the drive to survive, and her mind is constantly going to keep her on her toes, but you're going to transcend all that. Start recognizing her for who you intended her to be to you, your true love. I know this is a much different response than what you expected. And it is not just for the sake of women. It's not calling you out. It's laying it out. Big difference. So I'm Paul Friedman. I'm the founder of the Marriage Foundation. I hope this was helpful. I hope you subscribe to the channel. I hope you like the video. And I hope you share this. No way are you going to share this, but you can do the others. God bless you. Visit our website, themarriagefoundation.org, and thank you very much. Take care.